Ladies and gents, how are you doing? There's been a constant, boring, pointless fixture in the news for the last few weeks that I haven't really bothered covering because I was on the lash in the UK. But I'm going to do it now, fear not. And the BBC's doing their part by lying and propagandising the public. So let's have a poke about, shall we? Murdered girl's mum cried through adolescence. This was published just 5 hours ago. And on X it started popping up on the sidebar saying, Adolescence, is it an education tool or propaganda? The television series has been made available to all secondary schools across the UK into Film Plus, with accompanying educational resources provided by the charity Tender. Public reactions to the series vary, with some viewing it as important for societal education, while others criticise it as state-endorsed propaganda. Prime Minister Starmer has referenced the series in discussions about violent crime and societal values, mistakenly referring to it as a documentary. Yeah, well, if you want to know if it's an actual education tool or propaganda, I'll give you a clue. Keir Starmer keeps calling it a documentary when it's a work of fiction. And ironically, there's a work of fiction that's basically now a documentary. You know what that's called? Demolition Man. Right then, it's all over the news today, Adolescence, as usual. It has been for weeks. I don't need to bore you all with a plot summary, right, because everyone's sick of talking about it, so I'll just jump straight in to some actual facts about what's going on behind the scenes in the United Kingdom. First and foremost amongst them, and before the actually guys start chirping up, this source is the Mayor of London's website, okay? I don't think you can call Sadiq Khan a virulent racist with an animus against the black community. But here's some actual statistics about knife crime. Calls for a commission on knife crime in the black community. Yeah, released 10th of February 2022. Despite making up only 13% of London's population, black Londoners account for 45% of London's knife murder victims, 61% of knife murder perpetrators, and 53% of knife crime perpetrators. The second statement there is very pertinent because if you've been paying attention, like the Bootneck does, you'll be well aware that these murder statistics we're dealing with are only as low as they are because of the fantastic scientific achievements of the last 200 years. Incidentally, Florence Nightingale did a lot for medicine, not that Mary Seacole bird who did nothing more important than sell booze and tabs to officers, alright? Just clearing that up for anybody labouring under the delusion that the naffy bird did all the medical science in old England. Alright, the murder rate should be much, much higher. And if this was happening 20 years ago, it would be. It's only due to the fact we've made such amazing technological advances that 4 times as many people aren't dying. But these are people whose lives are being ruined. If you get a machete slid between your kidneys, you're not going to have a very good quality of life for a very long time, okay? So it is a big deal that all these people are getting stabbed up by swarthy foreign gentlemen, and the fact that they're not dying allows the government to keep a lid on it and constantly make claims like, actually, the murder rate's falling. Yeah, but the incident rate definitely isn't falling. The London Assembly is concerned about these figures and has called on the Mayor and the government to set up a joint commission to specifically look at knife crime affecting the black community. Sen Moima Am, who proposed the amended motion, that's clearly a xenophobic hate monger. Sen Moima, that name just screams, I have an animus against the black community. I am pleased this amended motion has been passed by the London Assembly calling for City Hall and the government to set up a joint commission to look at the additional resources needed to urgently address this issue. Sean Bailey said, I am very concerned, especially as the statistics in the black community are so much worse. Black Londoners are disproportionately more likely to be both the victims and the perpetrators of knife crime. Until all Londoners are safe, London is not safe. Yeah, London's not safe, Sean. And again, before the Guardian readers chirp up, Sean is black. He looks like the bloke from the Lighthouse family, alright? There's no ambiguity there. He looks like Seal if he had a particularly good moisturiser. And the BBC is just replete with stories related to this. Amusingly, one of them touches on one of the problems, But because the BBC haven't got the brains that the gods gave a goose, it's right under the nose, but they still can't find the answer. In response to the hit Netflix series Adolescence, a Brighton mother has told the BBC she withdrew her son from school as she was so concerned about violence, misogyny, racism and homophobia. Yep, racism and homophobia, that's the problem. Racism and homophobia saw 200,000 English girls get folded up like deck chairs and rogered like a copper's radio above 800 greasy kebab shops up and down the country. That's the problem, the homophobia. It's the homophobia that saw thousands of little girls forcibly having the temperatures taken with an all-beef thermometer by a sweaty bloke from the third world. It's the homophobia that killed all the girls in Southport. It's the homophobia that blew up the trains and the buses and London Bridge and Borough Market and Lee Rigby and Emily Jones. It's the homophobia. Nothing to see here. The boy, who is not being named, said the school environment portrayed in Adolescence was very accurate and children did whatever they want. He said that most teachers would do is give detentions and it felt like students had infinite power. So they even diagnose part of the problem in their own story, but it just flies straight over the head. Whoosh. Because Catherine Burble-Singh and all the old conservatives like Peter Hitchens have been making this point for ages. The students do have all the power because the commies have neutered traditional authority figures. So they do have the power. We know this. But ultimately, that's not the problem, is it? It's not homophobia and sexism that causes mass death. It's a cultural issue that needs to be changed, but it won't be, ever, because as I've told you many times, if the government and the police and the politicians and the lawyers and the judges don't care about the systematic torture and grooming and occasional murder of children, why are they going to care about, a few thousand stabbings every year? They couldn't give a rat's ass. Because it contravenes the victim pyramid, doesn't it? It contravenes the intersectional umbrella, so they couldn't give a monkey's fart. How Netflix's Adolescence highlights a vital service. Members of an appropriate adult volunteer scheme who support young people in police custody have praised the hit series Adolescence for shining a light on their work. Oh, supporting young people in police custody. How nice. Yeah. Commie gibberish, supporting young people in police custody. You mean looking out for the killers and the stabbers and the scumbags? More delusion from these pinko lefties. They don't need support. They don't need support. They need strapping to a bread crate and then lashed 600 times by a 6'5" ninja with a 10-foot bamboo cane. That's what they need. None of this stuff seemed to be a problem in the 70s and the 80s when we were actually tough on kids and tough on criminals. But the BBC thinks these problems can be fixed by being nice. Show people propaganda and be nice to criminals. That'll sort it. Nice one. Cheers, lads. Adolescence hard to watch as a dad, Starmer tells creators. Kia, you're hard to watch. You're hard to watch. I'd rather watch my granddad muffing out me granny than sit and endure 10 seconds of watching you talk on TV with your weird, creepy, nasal voice that no matter how much taxpayers' money you spend on a voice coach will always make you sound like the whiny, limp-wristed gimp that you are. In fact, I'm sick of covering it. The BBC, it's just 500 stories about adolescence, which answers the initial question posed by Grok on X. Yes, it's propaganda. If the BBC's covered it 500 times in 2 weeks, it's propaganda. Weirdly though, they didn't cover the grooming gangs 500 times in 2 weeks. Again, proving the point. Because when swarthy foreign gentlemen are tonking the kids, the BBC gives less than zero fucks. So to sum up, the statistics are unequivocal. At 13% of the population, black Londoners make up 61% of knife murderers. And as I said here, on the top is the pretend knife killer, and on the bottom are the actual knife killers. You might as well cast Warwick Davies as Michael Jordan. And there you have it. Yes, it is indeed full-blown propaganda. Don't watch it. Don't entertain it. Don't let the kids watch it. Don't let them go to school if they're going to make them watch it. It's bollocks. If you want to grasp the nettle, you've got to get to the root cause of the issue. And the root cause of the issue is soft on crime, soft on kids, namby-pamby pinko teachers, namby-pamby pinko coppers, and most importantly, the importation of millions of dangerous, unvetted, fighting-age men from foreign countries where the law of the jungle rules. Might makes right, and if you can take it through strength of arms, you take it. That's the problem. These people don't grow up watching Sesame Street and learning about please and thank you. They grow up watching the Palestinian jihadi rabbit and learn about the glories of raiding a United Nations food aid tent and filling a wheelbarrow with supplies whilst punching boys in the face. I've actually seen that happen. Anyway, so yeah, that's the problem. We know what's wrong and we know what the solutions are, but our leaders don't have the stomach to implement them. So suck it up. And remember, the next time a swarthy foreign gentleman runs into a school or a dance class or tonks an 8-year-old in the back of a taxi or above a kebab shop, remember, the real problem is homophobia and sexism. All right? Because this happened loads in 1973. That's all I've got for today, ladies and gentlemen. If you disagree because you haven't got eyeballs and you refuse to read newspapers, please leave a comment down below and I'll see you all tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.